sparMaster is a new electronic scoring system for Taekwondo competition, and it was really invented out of my desire to bring electronic scoring into my Dojang and be able to offer that experience to my students. The problem is with most electronic systems out there on the market is that I found they're either very, very expensive or they require a lot of cabling, which makes it not feasible to set up for a regular sparring class. So I decided I could create something better and do it myself and be able to bring that experience into my students. But it is what started out to be a very small idea has grown, and I want to be able to share that software with you today. So we're going to go over the short video here on how to set up sparMaster, go over the components, and then talk about or demonstrate how it works for you. The first thing that I want to cover though is that sparMaster is an application that runs on the Apple software platform. It is actually two applications in one. It includes a base station and a remote. The great thing is that when you purchase sparMaster, you get both components, so you don't have to purchase two separate pieces. And we don't have any complex or expensive licensing plans. So the great thing is here, you buy it one time, and you can install sparMaster on as many devices as you have set up for your own Apple ID. People have asked that have already purchased it, how do I, if I install it on the iPad, which is my base station, how do I get it over to a remote, which would run on an iPhone or an iPod? It's very easy. For example, if you purchase it on the iPad, then you would go over to your iPhone, which is connected to your Apple ID, go to the App Store, go to Purchased, and then Not on this phone, and then simply select sparMaster, and it will download the remote component to you. So what we want to do right now is cover the two components, and what I have in my hand right now is basically an Apple iPod, and it's running the sparMaster remote application. So I'm going to step up here closer so you can actually see that. And obviously we have blue and red to represent Chong and Hong, and then you'll see here that we have the square icons to represent body, and the ovals represent head. And the great thing about using this remote is that it covers all aspects of scoring in Taekwondo. So you can score standard straight-on kicks, such as a roundhouse to the body, and that would be maybe a tap to the body. And then if it's a turning kick to the body, you would simply swipe. Points would be the same way for the head. You would tap for a headshot and then swipe for a spinning score to the head. The base station, which we're going to get to in just a second, handles all of the actual values for those scores, and they can be customized based on your individual desire for your sparring class, or if you decide you want to run this for a tournament, you could set it up there as well. So with that, we're going to move over to the base station, and we'll take a look at how it gets set up and the components that are offered on that piece. Okay, so now we're going to focus on the base station component of sparMaster, and what we have set up today, probably more than what you would want to have set up for a typical sparring class. We've actually set this up based on what a tournament might look like, with a head table and an overhead projector here displaying the actual display that's on the iPad itself. And the great thing about the iPad is that you can run the video out to a projector such as we have here today, or a monitor, or even transmit the video via Apple TV to a remote TV if you wanted to do that as well. So a lot of different options to display the action. We're going to go over a couple of key fields here on the base station, and we're going to demonstrate how you might make some changes to that. So first off, you'll notice the gray boxes here on the sides. Those are the penalty areas. And you'll also notice that we don't have a lot of buttons on the screen. So what you might ask is, well, how do I log a penalty if a referee were to call a penalty? It's pretty easy. The person running the base station will just simply touch the penalty box. It's for less than a half a second, so you don't have to hold your finger on there very long. It'll highlight, indicating that you're going to make an adjustment. The adjustment controls will show up in the center of the screen, and if you want to add a penalty, you'll hit plus. If you add another penalty, then obviously you'll get the full point deduction. And you can subtract those back off as well. To close out, you just simply hit the X, and the penalty box closes out. You can no longer make adjustments to that. You'll see that we have the score boxes indicated here. If you need to make an adjustment to a score box, you follow the same process. You simply touch and tap. The box will change color, indicating that you can make adjustments to the score, and you use the adjustment indicators in the center to either add or subtract scores based on what you need. And we'll close that out as well. Okay. Down at the bottom, we have a start button that starts and stops the time for the match. You can go ahead and start that, and you'll see that the time starts counting down here. Stop has turned red, indicating that you need to stop the match, or for stopping time, you can go ahead and tap that, and the time will stop, and then will turn red, indicating that the time has stopped. What we're going to do now is go ahead and actually start a new match. So up in the upper right hand corner you will see a plus symbol, and we're going to click on that and start a new match. It's going to ask you if you want to do that. It'll bring up a new match window, and you'll have the ability to customize the blue and the red competitor. So you can tap on the blue competitor's name, and you can adjust that if you need to. Type in the competitor's name. Sam. Dave is fine, that's fine. Hit enter, and the keyboard will disappear. And you can also customize the country. So if we're doing an international tournament, it'll bring up an entire list of countries here, and you can either do a search or type or scroll up and find the country that you want. Let's do South Korea. So type in South Korea, and it'll bring it up. You can simply select that. It'll bring up South Korea, and you'll notice the South Korean flag immediately shows up on the display. For home, we can do the same sort of process. If you want to change that, we don't need to demonstrate going through there. So she's actually cleared that out, which is great, because what we're going to do is tap on the default indicator button at the top, and it'll reset everything to the default country and Chong and home. And go ahead and press done, and you'll see the flags have returned. Now the really cool thing about the flags is that the sparMaster is intelligent enough to go out and read the location of your iPad. So if you've set that up to be in Puerto Rico, for example, when you start sparMaster up for the first time, you'll see the Puerto Rican flag show up. If you're in South Korea and you start sparMaster up for the first time, it'll show the South Korean flag. And then each time you hit the default, the flags will be reset to your local country. So you can make as many adjustments as you wanted and always come back to your local country. Down at the bottom, we have options for displaying the flags, turning those on and off for this match. So if we didn't want the flags to be shown, we can turn those off for the match. And we can turn them back on. And these are actually default settings that are set up in the settings page, so that each time you don't have to make this change if you don't want to. We're going to go ahead and press done, and that'll bring us to a match. And now the really important thing is how do we connect the remotes? How do we get the remotes wirelessly connected to the base station? There's a little process that we need to go and do that before we actually start a match. So let's go do that right now. That's up in the upper right-hand corner. We'll tap on the gear, and that'll bring up our settings page. And there's really two important fields here that we need to recognize, is the ring number, and that would obviously be the number of the ring if you're going to be at a tournament. Otherwise you could just leave it at 1. If you click on that, we have it set up that you can go up to 6 rings, so we'll leave it at 1. Number of judges is key, so go ahead and press on number of judges. sparMaster currently supports a 2 or 3 judge configuration. If it's a 2-judge configuration, 2 judges must see the same point within 1 second. If it's 3 judges, the same thing. 2 judges must see the same point within 1 second. So with 3 judges, your odds of scoring the point are a little bit better because you have an extra judge in there to capture it. So we're going to set that at 3, and hit go back to settings. Once we've made these changes and we start remote scoring, which right now is indicated as off, we cannot change these again. So these are things that need to be set up at the beginning of basically a tournament or a sparring class, and then left alone. We're going to go on now and actually demonstrate how to connect the remote. So we're going to go into remote scoring, and it'll ask us if we want to turn remote scoring on. So just basically hit the switch, and it's saying that it's waiting for the remotes to connect right now. So I'm going to come back up. I have a remote in hand here, and you will see in the center of the display is a gear icon. I'm going to tap that, and that's going to bring up the settings screen for the remote. And you'll see that I've already have the remote scoring turned on. And down at the bottom here, it's saying ring 1 is currently out there. So the base station is broadcasting that it's available to be connected to, and that its number is ring 1. So if this remote wants to connect to ring 1, you would simply tap on that, and it would say it's waiting to connect or connected. And we're going to do that for the other remotes and then demonstrate what happens on the base station. So let's go ahead and set up. Can you set that up the other remote for me, please? So you'll see on the base station that we've actually, it's found 3 remotes out there, and it brings up the names of those devices so that you know who's connecting to your ring. Because we have a 3-judge configuration, all 3 devices must be selected. The application won't allow you to go any further until all 3 judges have been connected. So let's go ahead and select the 3 judges. As you make the selection, you'll see the check marks come up, and then a green button down here that says Start Scoring. And that actually starts the whole process to bring the remotes online and prepare them for scoring. You'll notice down in the lower left-hand corner, you have 3 green dots indicating that the remotes are now connected. That's pretty much how you set up a remote for scoring. Let's go back into settings real quick and take a look at just real briefly some of the other options you have for setting up a match. If we go under match parameters, we can set the number of rings, the duration of each round, number of rounds, the duration of each round, the rest duration. We can set the displaying of the competitors' names and flags, and then an end of round buzzer at the end of each match. It'll notify you that the match is over. So let's go back to settings. Let's go under scoring parameters. Here we can set the value of a head score. So if you select head score, it gives you the options of 1 point, 2 point, or 3 points. So you can customize that for your situation. Let's go back under parameters. If you want to score an extra point to the head for a spin, you will turn this switch on right now. So if, for example, someone did a spinning hook kick to the head, right now we would register a 3-point score for that. You also have the option of tracking a spin to the body. All body shots are worth 1 point. If this switch is turned on, then you get an extra point. So right now we would have a spinning kick to the body would be a 2-point kick. If we go under penalties real quickly, we'll see that we can set up 3 or 4 penalties, and then we also have the option of adding the penalty award to the opponent or subtracting it from the offending competitor. Right now we have that set to on, so we'll add all penalties over to the opponent. Let's go back under scoring parameters. We have the option of setting up gap. We have a gap of on, is on right now. We can apply that to the first round, and then we can set the value of our gap here as indicated below. 50 points, boy, that'd be a big spread. So normally it's 7, so we'll set it to 7. That'd be 0 on the first one, and 7. Okay. And let's go back to our scoring parameters. And we can do the same thing for ceiling. So you can turn the ceiling on and off, and typically it's a 20-point ceiling, so we'll leave that at 20. You can adjust that. And we'll go back under scoring parameters and settings. Hit the settings button. It'll take us all the way out. We'll hit done. And we're actually ready to score some points now. We're going to go through a short demonstration of sparMaster in action. Bring up some competitors up here and have them score some points. And we'll show you how this works. Okay, we're back. We have 2 competitors up here. They're going to demonstrate some scoring for us. We have the 3 remotes connected. I want to draw your attention to the main table. You'll see under each one of the scoring boxes the judges' indicators. So judges, if you'll press just red, you'll see a red flash for all 3 judges. If we go blue, you'll see blue flash for all 3 judges, indicating that the score is all being transmitted. You'll notice, though, that no points were awarded, and that's because time is currently not running. So we're going to go ahead and start time. The timer will start counting down, and we're going to have blue score a straight roundhouse kick to red's body. And we scored 1 point. And that's exactly what should happen. So blue will step back into fighting stance. Okay, red now will score a spinning kick to blue's body. We're going to have to swipe on red's body for this. Okay, so red, go ahead and score. And we have 2 points came through. So we're seeing that the extra point is working. We're going to have blue now do a straight kick to red's head for a 3-point or a 2-point score right now. Go ahead and tap. And you'll notice that our score went up. Can you slide back forward? Our score went up, and we now have 3 points on the board. And we're going to have red now do a spinning kick to blue's head, indicating an extra point to the head. So we're going to swipe red on the score. And we have our scores come up at the top. So you can see from the remotes we can control all of the action. That's the end of the round match indicator, indicating the match is done. Gentlemen, if you'll slide back out, and they would go to typically into rest at this point in time. At this point, the head table could make adjustments if necessary. We could go in and adjust the scores if we needed to, if something was missed or there was an error. We could adjust the penalties if we needed to. While time is running, though, you're not able to make those adjustments. So the referee does have to call stop time, and then those adjustments can be made during the match. What I would like to do right now is demonstrate an injury. So if the two gentlemen would come back in, and fighting stance, and blue groin kick to red. Red goes down, referee steps in, issues injury rest. Injury rest is addressed from the small red cross in the lower corner. You get 1 minute automatically. When the competitor is ready to return, you can close out, and you can start the next match. Okay, so right now we have all three judges set up, and we've demonstrated how you score points, but with anytime you add technology to an event, you can always have problems. So these remotes are working on either Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, and of course one of those networks could drop out and you would lose a remote. We could lose a battery, we could have a judge actually just turn the remote off, and that would disconnect him from the match. So we want to demonstrate how we would recover from a situation like that. So let's go ahead and start scoring, start the time. Time's running, and I'm going to actually go in and manually turn off one of the remotes. That will disconnect from the base station. We'll get a message that says Judge 2, that's me, disconnected, and it will ask me if I want to reconnect the match. Notice that it holds all the scores in place, so nothing is lost. Base station is going to say yes, we want to reconnect. All the remotes will go back in and reset up their link. And we'll select all three judges again. And start scoring. And we're back right where we left off. And so the match would continue. The center referee would say, call the competitors back in. Jumbi. And start time. And we would score from there. So I hope you've enjoyed the demonstration of sparMaster. We tried to cover as much as we could in a short amount of time. If you've already purchased sparMaster, I thank you, and I hope that the video helps you get the most out of your system. If you're interested in sparMaster, I hope that we covered enough to show you that it's a very comprehensive package. It should be able to cover most of your needs for either in-house tournaments, daily sparring, or even if you want to host a larger tournament. If you have any questions at all or comments about the software, at the end of the video, I'll have my email address out there, and feel free to contact me. Thank you very much.